Hi everyone, just going to give a short little video today. It's so blooming cold out and it's cold indoors, so I'm going to quickly give this little video a go and then get back to keeping warm by the fire. Anyhow, obviously this is connected to telephones and brings back memories when I was a little bit younger than I am now. In fact, I suppose I would be about 12, 13, a few years ago, where telephone lines were overhead. They were they were carried on cadmium copper wires, all bare, with white insulators along the line. On very long lines you had transposition, where you would swap the position of the two wires from one side to the other. That stopped overhearing. Anyhow, I'm not going to talk about overhearing today. If you lived in a house where the phone service was provided by 4 or more spans of OH overhead, you had to have one of these things in line. They're a protector, and this is the older style. That's the cover that goes on top of it. This is the older one, so you had extra bits in here. The idea was, as the name suggests, was to provide protection. Being over 4 spans of OH reminded me of my grandfather's house, because that house was certainly over 4 spans, and he had a protector next to the little junction box. The one he had was the more up-to-date version of this, but this one I can show you because it's got extra bits in it. Now, protection was done for, I suppose, 3 things: lightning or high voltage discharges through lightning flashes, or just by the fact the wires are up there during a storm, they could charge up. And to overcome that, you'd have, and I pointed to 2 white items there. Now they're called carbons. In the old days they were made of carbon with a very thin insulating material between the two, so that you didn't actually get a contact between the two unless you had a discharge of a high voltage, where it would jump across and you'd immediately earth the circuit. So your 2 wires each side, the A and B, would be earths, and you have your earth connection there. This side, and I'm pretty sure it's this side, would have gone to the drop wire. It was called drop wire from the actual insulator on the house. You had a pair of insulators, I think they were called pothead insulators. Anyway, they would you could unscrew the top of them, and you would terminate from the cadmium copper or copper cadmium wire to the drop wire inside the insulator itself. Screw the top back on, bring the drop wire down, and it would come through here. You've got a little hole there. That hole or that one, it doesn't really matter. And the 2 wires, the A and B wires, would come in and terminate there and there. In addition, you'd have had an earth wire in bare copper which was on an earth spike in the garden, somewhere where it doesn't get too dry. The spike would be bashed down into the ground, and that would provide a suitable earth, and that would, as I say, go to that connection there, which we can see. Now, the incoming wires from the drop wires would terminate on these two, and they would go to two fuses, one there, one there. They were fairly low value. In fact, the wire in them was very thin. That would ensure that if the phone wire accidentally got connected to mains or a higher voltage source, you would immediately blow the fuse. It wasn't a common thing to happen, but it could happen, and these fuses are take-outable. They're kind of... The reason they're long is so that they, I think, have a better chance of actually blowing. Now, that's your two types of protection. You've also got heat coils, and they too are connected in such a way that if the current in the line became too high over a period of time, not just a sudden, if it was a sudden amount you'd blow the fuse, but say over a little bit of time, the heat coil, as the name suggests, would heat up, and you've got in there a solder connection which would melt, and they would pop apart, and this metal thing that they're actually held in with, that I can point to there, would spring back, disconnecting the line from your phone. Your phone line would go on those two there, and the earth wire could also be used if it was shared service, because you did need an earth calling on shared service. Anyhow, that's more or less all that happens in this little box of tricks. I think I picked these ones off of eBay. They're well made. There's the cover that goes on, and go on like so and screw down. But I say the newer type were a slimmer box, and I don't think they held the heat coils. If I find one, I will bring one up and we'll have a little look at. Anyhow, that's more or less all I've got to say on that. Oh, also, I had a bit of good luck again on eBay, and I was talking about one of those phones from Israel, the 750 type. Well, there was one on there, and it was free postage, and it looked in good nick, so I thought, right, I'll take a chance and get that one. So when that arrives, we'll have a little talk about it and put it up. I can tell by a photograph of another YouTuber who put the same phone up, or the same model up, and it is slightly different inside, only slightly, so it'd be interesting to get a close-up of it and have a little talk about it. Anyhow, I'm going to go now. thanks again for watching. Once again, I make apologies for not going down to the greenhouse, but it is just too blooming cold. The heating's on in the greenhouse. Well, it comes on and it gets very cold. I dread to think what it's going to cost. But anyhow, you either do that or you lose your plants. So that's for today. I don't know what I'm going to put up next. Depends what turns up. I should really try and put a couple of lamps up. But anyhow, enough of me talking. Once again, thanks again. And this is of the Protector. These are also used in America. The ones in America were slightly different. I think they were made of porcelain. I haven't got one of those, but that's what they were for. 4 spans or over of OH cable. This is the bare cable, not what you got today. Today you've got normally one pole at a distribution point, and from the pole you run drop wire straight to the customer's or subscriber's house, and any spans was now underground. So I am talking of a few years ago. I know they tried to get me to go up one of the poles, which I didn't. Glad I didn't either. Anyhow, thanks again for watching. I'm going to keep waffling on, so I'm not. So thanks again, and I'll see something else a bit different the next time. Thanks again. Thank you.